And so you've got a great graph here where you're literally showing those drops in rates and those raises in rates. And you've got these little smiley faces that say game over. Every time the Fed started raising rates is when we saw crypto bear markets happen, at least the last 2 cycles, right?
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to display on that little graph. Game over means as soon as the investor sentiment started going down because they saw that interest rates would go up eventually based on this machine of this Fed that we have, then all of a sudden the markets would crash. And you can see here, usually the market tends to peak when interest rates are below 2%. Because as you said, you can borrow money easily, you can trade, you can use it for leverage, brings all that liquidity. Going back to the previous side, this machine is literally almost once they bring it down, it's like water. The liquidity just comes into the markets and people have a higher risk appetite. So that's why this whole risk on, risk off market came in. There's too much power, as you said, coming from the Fed at this point. And I think right now the issue is, the reason why markets are kind of sluggish these days is because, originally, as you said, the interest rates, they try to aim for 2%. But now some of the big consulting firms are saying that, we would have anywhere between 3.75% to 4% of interest rates, next year. So the sentiment is not so good. And you saw the inflation numbers are not really, they're a bit stubborn. So people are kind of in this midst of, where are we going? And it's very uncertain.
Yeah. So if you see the very end of that graph on the screen, you can see they recently cut interest rates by 50 basis points, which means 0.5%. I think that was in November. And then they recently in December cut them by 25 basis points. Now, at one point, we expected 3 or 4 cuts at the end of last year,
right,
but they didn't do that because inflation still looks like an issue. And of course, the thinking is if you drop rates too low, everything grows too fast, and then inflation goes up, which means your money becomes useless. And so now they're being careful. The other thing to look at is the 10-year yield rate is now at a high level. And that's telling the world that, it looks like we might have some inflation and some growth that might be out of control. Even though Trump is saying, I'm going to drill, baby, drill. And he thinks that cheap energy is going to pull all prices down. And I think he's probably right. And so, he doesn't want to see the economy slow. He wants to see rates drop, but it's not obvious they're going to be taking rates down a lot this year. And I think we got that news yesterday. In fact, Bitcoin came off from 102 down to 97, 96. I think it got freaked out a little bit. So these things are real and they're correlated. That being said,
the investment club gives us a chance to think about what wealth really is.
It gives you the keys to open that door to the inside deals.
We get 4 projects presented a week by their associated CEOs.
The deal flow is beyond what I expected. I don't think I've ever seen a model like this that just gives average folks the opportunity to be behind the deals, and that's exactly what we've done.
When I have questions, there's members of the club willing to support and help.
Everybody's on the same wavelength. We just clicked. Everybody listened to each other, enjoyed their company. It was just magical.
It's about educating and making possibilities for everybody in the world.
Joining the investment club can bring you wealth, resources, community, and a more joyful time.
It is one of the best decisions I've ever made.
I'm very bullish, and I'm very bullish on this new administration. And I'm surprised, honestly, that we're not even higher, because I think Trump is going to slash and burn. You got a president that is not going to stick to any precedents. He's going to drill, baby, drill. He's already courting investments. So Masayoshi Son of SoftBank already committed to $100 billion, maybe $200 billion. Yeah. There was an announcement yesterday at Mar-a-Lago. The developer, Damac, who is massive here in Dubai, maybe it started in Dubai. You see buildings all over the place. He just pledged to invest $20 billion into American luxury property and data centers. Literally is there at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. You got a businessman in the charge, and now he's bringing literally money into the States. He's going to cut taxes. He's going to drop energy prices. He's going to cut regulation. You got Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon in there, the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as Doge. Not financial advice for that meme coin, but Elon loves having fun. And you got so many things that I think will grow the market and keep inflation low. And you've got a massively pro-cryptocurrency administration. So Trump himself and his sons, Don and Eric, they have their own DeFi protocol called World Liberty Financial. Okay, now look, it might not be significant yet, but the point is they're literally in the markets. His head of commerce is Howard Lutnick, who runs BCG, which used to be Cantor Fitzgerald, which was a Hughes broker when I was doing business. Their company does all the custody for Tether, the biggest stablecoin in the world. And Bobby Kennedy, when he's not making America healthy again, converted all of his savings into Bitcoin 2 years ago when he got orange pilled by the community. So it's not a couple promises by a president to get votes. You've got almost everyone in his administration pro-crypto. Gary Gensler is going to resign in 12 days' time. Beautiful. We've got a brand new SEC chair coming in who's pro-crypto. So I'm surprised the market doesn't recognize that. And I'm still bullish. I think we'll get more cuts next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these targets that we have on the slide, just to follow up on your point, Brian, like Donald Trump himself and his administration can change the name of the game. That's the thing. He has a lot of weight on his shoulders, but you know how much he loves stock market rallies. And it's a huge, one of his validation biases, right? That he's going to want to re-portray again. Yeah. And again, he really cares about finance. He's a financier himself. So
yeah, that's one of his metrics. And there's a great phrase that says, what gets measured gets improved. You know, if you have a metric you track with your business, be careful because you'll do everything to get that metric. And Donald Trump watches the stock market. And when it does well, he thinks he does well. And that's a great sign, I think, for everybody here.
And as you said, if he can drop inflation, which will then impact the interest rates as well, then that's where we get really excited, all of us together.
Yeah. Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.